Send it again, sorry.
We're live streaming.
Hello, everyone. We'll get started in just one moment. Okay, let's get started. Welcome to the Economic Development Committee's Austin Alumni's Wealth Wednesday quarterly webinar. We are excited to have you all today here for our small business resource discussion and webinar, and have a wealth of information for you and a great panel of experts who will provide us with great information as a small and minority-owned business owner. I am Tamla Saldana, and I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, a proud member, but I also currently serve as the Assistant Director for the Small and Minority Business Resources Department, as well as the Acting Chief Officer, Civil Rights Officer for the City of Austin. I would like to take a few moments and allow our panelists who bring forth a wealth of experience and expertise in the industry for small and minority businesses. I will first ask them to introduce themselves, but I want to also, before we get started, to remind you as a participant, you can also drop questions in the chat. We have our chat monitor, Ms. Donna Jackson, with us today, who will be assisting me in answering questions and fielding those questions as well. We will get started with introductions, and I have several questions for our panel of experts that will help provide you with information as a small business owner participating on this panel. So let's first introduce and like Ms. Juanita Stevens to introduce herself and give a little bit about her title, a little bit about her business and what she does to help small businesses. And then we will move to our next panel panelists as I introduce them. Ms. Stevens.
Thank you so much. I'm Juanita Stevens. I'm the president and CEO of J. Stevens Wealth Management. I work with both individuals and small business owners, really to help them. And most of my clients are women, but what I help them do is get a real understanding of money and the financial markets and how you can get ready for retirement. That's really what I do is I help people get ready for retirement. I put a plan in place for them that is a long-term plan. And then for small business owners, I actually do consultations with them on how to take their business to the next level. And that is a kind of a specialty thing that I do.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. And we will have more questions from you today about how to prepare our small businesses for retirement. Next, okay. I would like Ms. Stacy Roan to introduce herself with Big Austin. And the same thing, Ms. Roan, introduce yourself, your title, as well as what Big Austin does for small and minority-owned businesses.
My name is Stacy Roan. I am with Big Austin, which stands for Business Investment Growth.
Big Austin has been in the area for over 27 years. We started within the city of Austin, designed specifically to help with minority-owned businesses, initially on the East 11th Street corridor, but have spread to 15 counties. We do entrepreneurship training. We help business start and grow, and we provide microloans.
Thank you, Ms. Roan. We have joining us today Commissioner Aaron Demerson with the Texas Workforce Commission. Aaron, can you introduce yourself and tell a little bit about what TWC does for small and minority-owned businesses?
Thank you, Dr. Sonania. Glad to be here this afternoon. So kind of a guest panelist. I wasn't sure if I could make it or not. But first of all, let me just say thank you for the opportunity and congratulations to both Juanita and Stacy and the work that they've been doing over the years as well. I am the commissioner representing employers in the state of Texas, over 600,000 Texas employers that are out there, 3 million small businesses that are here in our state. And we're making sure that at the end of the day, that the employers have an ability to stay in Texas, that they don't leave our state. And we're doing what we can to make sure that they receive the training, employees receive the training they need to make sure that that employer is successful here in the state. So a number of different programs that we'll talk about, resources that are out there that are here and available. Formerly heading up economic development and tourism for the governor's office, and just delighted to be here and looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Aaron. And again, I am Tamala Saldana, and I am the Assistant Director for the Small and Minority Business Resources Department with the City of Austin. Today, I have an expert with me, Elton Price. He is our Division Manager, and he stands ready to answer any technical questions about certification. But the City of Austin certifies small and minority-owned businesses, particularly ethnic minorities and women-owned businesses who are interested in doing business with the city. We have a great partnership with Travis County, Austin Independent School District, as well as Capital Metro. They all use our certification to assist in meeting their diversity goals. We set goals on projects. We review those, all contracts for the City of Austin, to make sure that there's opportunities for small and minority businesses to do business. And our prime contractors and consultants need certified firms to meet those particular diversity goals put on contracts. So we have a wealth of information for you about how to get certified and the advantages of getting certified as a small and minority business, as well as we continue this panel discussion. So, as you can see, we have a wealth of expertise and knowledge, and we could be here all day talking about the opportunities and in providing information with small businesses. So one of the things that I know people who are out here are at different stages in their business. Some of you are out there have been in business for 10, 15 years, and the type of information you may need to grow your business or expand your business is going to be certainly different from someone who's starting a business. So let's talk about starting a business and getting started and what you need to do to be prepared to do business with the state, with the city, or just in general with the general public. Stacey, I'll start with you, since BIG is about big business and growing business, business growth. Can you give our audience and our participants information, just a general idea about what would they need to start a business? What is some simple foundation resources, planning, et cetera, that they need to do to start a business?
Sure. So, this is a good time for women and people of color to start a business. There are a lot of resources that are available. However, they're not easily accessible. And so the first thing I think, if you're starting a business, is do your homework. Homework means developing a business plan. And people probably hear that consistently, develop a business plan, because, a business plan is going to take you where you're going to go. But also a business plan is going to tell you what may or may not be possible. And planning is a very important, because you need money to start a business. No doubt, if it's a service or if it's a product, you're going to need capital. Traditionally, when you go to banks, they're going to tell, especially people of color, Go to your family, go to your friends, look at your retirement, look at your 401k. I'm sure Juanita can talk about that more in a little while, but those things for people like us are usually not readily available. So getting that business plan together, getting some legal advice, which we provide legal assistance for small and minority businesses at Big Austin. That service is free of charge, but make sure you get your structure correct. So you know your tax issue, your tax challenges, or if you don't have any challenges, you know how to report to, say, the comptroller's office. I mean, those are some of your primary things with your franchise tax. People assume that the franchise tax is just based on you selling a product, and that's a tax issue. It is not. You need to understand that that is a way to register your business in the state of Texas. You need to research your name. So there's a lot of little things that you need to do as far as research to establish yourself. And then once you have that business plan together, then look at options for funding and how much do you really need. And I'll just give you some brief examples. I had a young Black man that came into the office, and actually he's an amazing business guy, tech guy. He doesn't get the money like large organizations or large tech businesses. The reason, though, he had the biggest challenge, he didn't have a plan and he didn't know how much money he really needed. So understand those things first and foremost if you're starting a business. Those things will take you far.
Thank you, Ms. Roan. Aaron, I understand that TWC, particularly the division that you work with, help and assist employers. Can you provide an overview of some of the opportunities and resources you have to assist businesses as employers?
Yeah, a number of resources that are out there. First of all, the governor's office has a small business division. So from a state level perspective, you have the governor's office that has a small business advocate, and that's the advocate for small businesses in Texas. And they do a number of sessions and seminars statewide to get information out, similar to what Stacy was talking about. And when you're starting a business and the like, a lot of times those individuals are already in business. And so I'm the commissioner representing employers. I have another commissioner that represents labor. That's our Commissioner Julian Alvarez, and then our chair, Brian Daniel, represents the public. And so I have a vested interest in employers. As I mentioned, 3 million small businesses here in Texas. We do a number of different things. I have 4 employment law attorneys on board, 4 employment law attorneys. And so if you're in business and you're growing, you have 1, you're going up to 10, 15 employees or so, even if it's 5 employees, these are boots on the ground for employers that are out there, small businesses. And so if you're bringing in a staff member, things change at that level. If you're by yourself, that's one thing, but you're bringing on additional staff. There's a way to do it, a right way to do it that keeps you out of trouble. I encourage folks to contact those employment law attorneys. You'll be surprised the organizations that have them on speed dial. And it's amazing. And I'll give that 1-800 number in a second, but there are 4 employment law attorneys that are out there and available for employers that are out there having questions as it relates to employees as well. We also do something that's called Texas Conference for Employers, where we're looking at state and federal employment law, and they make this pretty exciting. And that's a resource that's out there, a guidebook that's online as well that allows employers, small businesses, an opportunity to tap into that resource so that you do it right. You don't ever want to find yourself in a situation where you're on the other end. And so these are some resources that are out there that can help you with that. Governor's office doing what they're doing. More importantly, what we're doing through those 4 employment law attorneys, and then resources like the Skills for Small Business program. So Tamala, if all of us were working for you and you said, Aaron, you need to go brush up on your Spanish speaking skills or so, or Juanita, you need to go take a CAD design course or so, we can go take that course at ACC. The TWC has a program that pays for that course, $900 for an incumbent worker, $1,800 for a new worker. And so if you said, Aaron, go brush up on Spanish speaking skills, I take the course over there online or in person, I'm coming back as a better employee for you. It's almost like a scholarship to that employee, which means that employee is going to be with that employer a little bit longer because that employer is vesting in them. And so I think collaborating and as a business grows to that stage and tapping into the programs that we have here will only make your business, position yourself to be even more successful as you move forward.
Thank you. So Anita, we talked a lot about, some of the resources and some tips for small businesses, particularly in minority-owned businesses when they get started. What would you say would be the most number one financial tool, financial thing they need to consider when they are starting a business? And how can you help them with that?
Well, it's two things. The first is they never, ever, ever build a plan to pay themselves. They get so busy in that business and they're paying bills and they're paying employees, but they never build themselves into the sauce, right? You are the biggest part of that business. You're it. And so you got to pay yourself. And then the second thing is I tell everybody, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep in. And they will start a business and own that business for 15 or 20 years and never have thought about retirement, ever. Most small business owners don't work with the financial planner. They may have gotten a loan from the bank, but they don't have a long-term plan for themselves, because you can't call up 1-800, I didn't plan well, can you hook me up in retirement? So you got to be planning for your retirement. You have to start with the end in mind. I always say, when you're putting your business plan together, what is your escape route, right? When will you know that it's time for you to either let it go or sell it or move on to the next thing, right? You just gotta put the time in. You gotta remember how important you are in the business. Pay yourself and plan for your retirement.
That's some awesome advice. So let's move on to kind of talk about some of the ways in which different programs are out there. I can't tell you how many times people have contacted me personally, friends that I know, and say, hey, I am about to pay for $3,000 for a training course, even something as simple as OSHA training. And there is so much opportunities for free trainings out there. And resources out there that do not cost small businesses to get involved in, or they are at least a minimum cost. Instead of paying $3,000 for OSHA training, OSHA safety training that's required for construction companies, there are resources out there that course may cost $25 or $75. And so I know that my good friend and my sorority sister, she is the director for the Economic Development Department for the City of Austin, and they have a wealth of free training with the small and minority business programs that they do there. So, Ms. Roan, can you talk about some of the free trainings? I know you mentioned legal training that you all provide, but what are some other trainings that you all provide that are free or reduced for small and minority businesses to help them grow and expand their business?
Yes, we have a wide variety of options for free courses. The only programming that we have that cost is, for instance, maybe something like QuickBooks, because you have to have specific certifications to get on the QuickBooks Online. But we have a 7-week business plan class, which is really what we call Start Smart. And Start Smart is basically 7 weeks of training that takes you through cash flow analysis, marketing, just the full array of needs for a startup business, or even a business that is existing but never went through the full process. We have business law classes, which helps you, like, for instance, with your contracts for your lease, maybe, or you may be negotiating a contract for, for purchasing of a product. So we provide simple courses like that, but then we also have a tailored programming, which is called we call it our MBA, which is Maximizing Business Achievement. And those courses are focused on, say, it might be a food truck. And so we're going to spend, three sessions of about 2 to 3 hours, focusing on what does it take to do a food truck, or what does it take to open a hair salon. And so these are random courses. And we also do one-on-one consulting. And yes, the city of Austin, has some great programming, economic development. We, as Big Austin, we work with the city of Austin. They design programming for creatives, for artists and musicians. And so we have special programming for them as well, because they are definitely a different dynamic when it comes to how to run a business. So we have a very wide array of things, but we also are very open to an individual calling and saying, look, I just need this special kind of help. Do you have a class for that? Or do you have someone that can assist me for that? And we jump right on it, and we will provide those unique services. We're very agile when it comes to doing that.
Thank you, Stacey. So I'm going to give a little plug for my department as well, the Small and Minority Business Resources Department. Many people have asked, how does certification help my business? How can I utilize getting certified as an MWBE, as a minority and women-owned business, to grow and expand my business? And I mentioned earlier that we, as a city department, we review contracts in terms of scopes of work, to place goals on projects. Those scopes of work give us some good information about what certified firms are out there to perform those scopes of work. And so getting certified certainly helps, because these companies get a list of firms who are out there, who are ready, what we call ready, willing, and available to do those particular jobs on those contracts that the City of Austin Small and Minority Business Resource Department have placed goals on it. And so a lot of people say, wait, it's 1,000 pages to get certified. What all of the information do I need to get certified? Is it really worth getting certified? And my answer to you is yes. It's not, it's one of these things where if you're sitting down, and as Juanita has stated and Stacey has stated earlier, and you have a plan, that you understand your business, you have your tax returns in place, you have your business charter and bylaws together, you should be easily ready to log in and work with my team, our certification divisions, to get certified. The eligibility requirements are not that hard. Most of you out there who are small and minority business should own 51% of your company. We assume that you're socially disadvantaged and your personal net worth is no more than $1.6 million, not including your home. Although the cost of housing in Austin has gone up so much, you might have sitting on $1 million home and may not realize it, but it's $1.6 million. In terms of personal net worth, you must be a U.S. citizen. You must be an organized for-profit business. We do have a lot of nonprofits that'll come and try to get certified, but you must be a nonprofit, a for-profit business. And we do a site audit to assure that the person who is trying to become certified is the person who can perform that work in terms of the actual business owner. So the qualifications are not hard, particularly if you're an ethnic minority-owned firm. So we encourage businesses. There's a lot of procurement programs out there. I know Aaron, in his days at economic development at the state of Texas, could tell you that there are purchasers out there every day calling for some type of service, some type of commodities. And one of the things you have to do is be in the field and understand what it is you need to do to be successful in bidding and performing work and proposing on work for these organizations. So that's my plug for my department. I have a couple of other questions. I want to see if I can monitor the chat. Ms. Jackson, is there any questions so far in the chat that I want to make sure I get Q&A? And I see, does your business have to be in the city of Austin to be able to access some of these services? So that's a question that's in the chat. I know Ms. Stevens will go anywhere the business is, and it's probably in the Austin metropolitan area. Stacey, can you answer this question? I know for Aaron, he works for Texas, the state of Texas, so you just have to be a state of Texas business. Stacey, what about Big Austin?
And Big Austin, our services serve 15 counties in Central Texas. However, those are our physical areas, meaning we might be out in the Chamber of Commerce at Killeen and physically do a course, or we may be in other areas. However, since COVID, 75% of our training now is no longer in office or in our conference room or at sites. It is online. And so as a result, our area of coverage is more expansive. So no, you could practically be anywhere at this point, which we've had people from all over the world participate in our different training programs.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. I want to turn to some of the specialized programs and specialized areas that will help businesses, particularly financial business, in terms of a financial area that offset maybe some of the costs associated with training or cost of, again, for them to learn and get a resource. Juanita, what is some things that you could provide that would help businesses financially in terms of preparation, going to the next level, or staying away from the tax man in March, April? So can you provide some of those resources?
So I actually work with them one-on-one, and I talk to them. I go through their last 2 years' taxes, and I'm looking for ways that they could maybe save some money, or some write-offs they haven't thought about, or some things that, it is so many things out there that you can write off, and most people have no idea. If all they're doing is using TurboTax, it's a million other things you could be doing, right? So I encourage them to, even if it's just one time, work with a CPA. Really get down what's coming in and going out. See, here's the thing. I always tell people, if your personal finances are jacked up, your business finances are probably going to be the same way. And so I start, even when I'm talking to business owners, I start with them on their personal finances. Let's make sure that we if you have a lot of debt, let me show you how to pay it off really quickly, 7 years or less, because there's nothing worse than being really stressed out with work and then be really stressed out trying to figure out, am I going to be able to pay my employees? Can I bite off a little piece for myself? Can I, that's, so I start with their personal finance. And then I tell them, listen, what I want you to do is focus on what is your vision. And I say that because people will start out with a business, and then one person asks for A and another person asks for D, and this one over here is asking for H. And the next thing you know, they're completely off of what they have a gift in doing. And they're struggling through with something else. Go back to what you do really well. Okay? Stay within, I always tell people, work within your gifts. When you find yourself really, really struggling, usually it's because you're doing something you're not particularly comfortable with. So go back to your roots. Pull that business plan back out. What did your business plan originally say? Did it say you were going to do X, Y, and Z, or A, B, and C? And now that you're doing X, Y, and Z and you're completely off, and you're off your center, can we come back a little ways so that you get back in your comfort level? And I'm not saying they should never go and do something different. What I'm saying is, when you're struggling, go back to the things you know well, okay? Utilize some software. Quit trying to do everything in your head. And if you don't want to do it, I promise you can find, sometimes you can even find a stay-at-home mom who is willing to work during the day, but she only has 5 or 6 hours during the day. That can just keep your books. Y'all, we always think we got to go spend a lot of money. You don't. You can also get a graduate student from all of these universities we have in this city. We got a HBCU here. I'm always calling, well, my friend retired now, but I was always calling over saying, hey, I need a grad student that can do some work for me, just temporary work, right? Stay within the things that you are comfortable with. And when you're struggling, go back to what you know.
Thank you so much. That is awesome. Erin, what are some nuggets you have for a small business? I know you have worked with so many businesses, not just small businesses, but also you've worked with large development companies as you work with the governor's office, and they are often looking for to do small business with small and minority-owned businesses. What is some advice you could give, particularly coming from a large employer, a prime contractor who may be looking to do business with a small minority-owned business as a subcontractor?
Yeah, I think a number of things, and Juanita and Stacy are nailing it. But things like the fact that when they talked about doing programs in Austin, or can you work outside of Austin, looking into Cap Metro and VIA in San Antonio, I was surprised to find out that VIA, although they're in San Antonio, they can hire folks that are outside of their area. So those are opportunities, really just kind of tapping into different resources that are out there and making sure that you're taking advantage of it. The biggest thing, Tamla, I think, is the networking opportunities, taking advantage of the resources. When you have someone like Stacy in Big Austin, when you have somebody like Juanita who's talking about paying yourself first, retirement type situations. I mean, just good nuggets of information that's really out there, how you tap into HT for internship opportunities. I'm working on an initiative called Texas Interns Unite, where I found out Brent Ryan normally hires about 70–80% of his interns, turns those into staff. Texas Works has a program where if you're paying an intern $20 an hour, they'll pay $10 of that $20. And so that's kind of an amazing concept at the state level, where they're actually subsidizing that wage, and it works just that simple. And so I think getting out there, pulling the trigger and taking care of business as business owners do, but tapping into those resources that are out there. The Small Minority Business Resource Center that you talked about, the things that you guys have there, just taking full advantage of it. The 4 employment law attorneys that we have here on board, tapping into that as well. Jarvis Brewer runs the governor's small business division over there, finding out what's out there. And then at the end of the day, talking about business. And that's what we're talking about. How do you make money doing these things, which is not a bad thing. We're a pro-business state. We want to connect. How do you find out, Erin, who's coming into town? How do I tap into those organizations? And from a small business perspective, who's doing the site consultant in locating a Tesla? Who's bringing in a Google? Samsung's project in Taylor? Who are the guys involved in those aspects? Because we get privy to the conversations early on, and they're all private from that standpoint. And it's not the fact that they're going to be here in Texas at all, but if they get close to being here, you'll be amazed at how many individuals I have tapping into the brain trust here, which is all legal and okay to do. Basically, what's out there, what's happening, how do we plug in, and basically sharing with how they plug in so that they have the potential to do business with those companies. A lot of employers want to know who's out there, who can perform from that point. And I think collaboratively, we have to pull all that together to make that work, taking advantage of what the chambers are doing, economic development organizations and the like. And so my words of advice in seeing all of this is basically the resources are out there. It's up to the individual to go take advantage of the resources that are there and keep asking the questions, because even on this call today with Juanita and Stacy and the information that they're providing and the level of expertise, and yourself included, Tamla, you've seen it all, seen a lot rather from that standpoint. And you can get answers to your questions from that point that allows you to move on from where you are to the next stage. So that's what I would share. Just kind of go for it, tap into the resources that are out there, and don't be shy about doing it.
Thank you so much, Erin. I'm going to take a brief moment and address some of the questions that are in the chat. One of the questions is that it says, I know Mr. Demerson used Spanish class as an example. However, I feel that is something we as a community need. Do you know if there's some free virtual Spanish classes out there that are free?
Yeah, I'm quite sure there are a lot of there are classes that are out there. And so even within the Texas Workforce Commission, we have over 5,000 courses that are out and available for individuals looking for employment, individuals that are looking to upskill themselves. And that's through our metrics, METRIC, I believe, a contract that we have that has that out there on our website. And so if that individual would circle back with that 1-800 number that's there, 832-9394, and you just say, give me Commissioner Demerson's email address or let me contact him. I'll get you information in regards to those classes that are out there. But it's, again, those resources are pretty phenomenal. Spanish classes, yes. If you want to go take it at ACC through the Skills for Small Business program, that's available. You're not paying for that. That's free. We're paying for that class from that standpoint. And so, yeah, those programs are out there and available.
Okay. I want to address the questions, and we have some questions actually coming in from YouTube according to our chat monitor. One of the questions was about does being certified with the NMSDC help with the City of Austin certification process to go faster? And we get that question all the time. We do have several entities that we have reciprocity with, particularly like the State of Texas Hub program. However, there are different certification requirements. And so I will tell you, there's not a reciprocity, and the city does not usually accept those minority business diversity type certifications that are out there in the private sector. But I will tell you this, as Stacey stated, if you have your business plan, if you have your financials together, if you have your charter documents, such as your information file with the comptroller's office, if you have all that information, it is definitely will help you be prepared for a more stringent certification process like the cities, or like even getting the federal disadvantaged business enterprise certification, or the ACBBE airport concession certification, which is also an awesome certifications that allow you to do business with several entities around the nation. So that is one question. And then I'm gonna stop for a second, and if Ms. Jackson can come off mute, and because I cannot see the questions in the YouTube chat, if you would like to address those to our panelists.
Thank you. I'm going to combine two of the questions. One of them is for small businesses, is it a recommendation that they leverage a credit union versus a bank, and what is the benefit? And the other is how do grants benefit small business owners and ensure they go the distance of having their business beyond 1 to 5 years?
So Stacey, I'll let you answer that question first, address that one for sure about the loans opportunities, because I know Big Austin have a lending program right here locally that is designed to help businesses who cannot traditionally get business loans with our big banks. So if you could talk about that lending and your loan program as well.
Sure. So, in the past, I would say that there would be a difference between, excuse me, a credit union and a bank, but it really just depends on your relationship with that bank or your relationship with that credit union, the lending capacity that they have, if they have SBA loan programs, or if they are getting lending directly from the bank. Excuse me. So it is all based on, say, the individual banks. I will tell you this. Banks, credit unions are difficult to get funding through if you are a contractor, if you are a hairdresser, if you are a daycare. They're very limited on the type of funding that they provide. And that goes for credit unions as well. Their lending capacity usually is not that high, and they always want collateral. So I think they ask for the same things. I mean, if you're trying to purchase a vehicle for your business, then a credit union is going to be the best way to go. If it just really depends. So you can't put them in silos together. Organizations like Big Austin, which we are called a community development financial institution, which is a CDFI, we are funded and our capacity is designed by the U.S. Department of Treasury. There are several of those entities in town. Besides Big Austin, there is People Fund, there is Lift Fund, there is BCL Texas. I will say that Big Austin is focused more on African-American owned business, while we help all that is our community of color is where we strive to get our impact. Our loans are maxed out at $50,000. On average, I will say we really do somewhere around the range of 13 to 23,000. That is kind of our sweet spot. But what I will tell you is across Texas, there are other Black-led CDFIs that lend in our area, and they have a lot higher lending capacity. They don't look at your financials, and I'm not gonna say your financials per se, but they don't look at you from a credit aspect as strictly as they look at, as a bank would look at you, and we don't either. But they have an understanding of your business. They really go in and understand your business. So where you go is dependent on, if you're getting a loan or financial lending, it's going to be based on your collateral potentially, your business plan, and if you want to talk about grants are more available now since what happened with George Floyd, the interest in impacting the Black community. But you're not going to find grants very much locally. They're usually going to go to nonprofits, and then nonprofits should disseminate them. However, you have places like FedEx and Capital One and Chase and all those organizations that are doing small grants for businesses. You just have to be very strategic in looking for them. And those opportunities are available. But I will tell you this, if you're not looking aggressively now, you better hurry up and do it, because I believe the window for all of this is probably going to close within the next 18 to 24 months.
That's a great point. And I know there may be some other questions, but I want to try to combine this as well. And I know Aaron and myself and Juanita, we've been in the business for a long time, and people used to come and say, I want a small business grant. Can I get a grant? And I used to say, I don't know where you get a small business grant from. Now, as Stacy suggested, that there are a lot of companies now that are pouring money into nonprofits that are out there to help small businesses to offset some of the things, like we said. It's a lot of money that, if you don't have to pay for training for your employees, whether that's an OSHA class, whether, you don't have to pay for a business plan, or even, tax advice. I know Delta, we're doing the Taxman coming in January, a free webinar. So stay tuned for more information about that. But there's a lot of opportunities out there for these small business programs that also offset different factors or different expenses you will have. Now, one of the things that is, I think people need to clearly understand how your personal credit impacts lending. And so I'm going to turn for your business, right? How does your personal credit, because you might come in there with a 505, and it is not a 503c program here. This is your personal credit. And so I want to ask Ms. Stevens, I can't express how important personal credit and being financially stable when starting a business, because I've seen, and Stacy, we've talked about this, where people get a contract, they so happy they get that $2 million contract, and I'll say, oh my goodness, this contract is really going to close your business, because you don't have the cash flow and you don't have the credit resources to even buy your merchandise. So Ms. Stevens, can you give us some good nuggets on how to be financially prepared from your personal credit standpoint, and how that impacts your business opportunities in terms of financially?
So I was talking about it earlier. The very first thing I do is I sit down with them, and I do this free class, and it's called Wisdom and Wealth. And it's a 2-hour class, and it is literally all you need to know about your personal stuff, right? Your personal finances. But I show people how to pay off all their debts in 7 years or less. That includes their home and everything. And then I tell them, while you're building this business, let's get your debt out of the way first. But you cannot be trying to take it to the next level in your business and have uncontrolled spending in your personal life. And so I tell them, take your credit cards out of your wallet or your purse and leave them home. Unless you know that you are going to a store to purchase stuff for that business, leave them home. If you have no control, leave them at home. You absolutely have to And the thing is, people always say, oh, you hurting me now, you're hurting me. But it's just for a short period of time. What if you could be completely debt-free in 2 or 3 years, or at least get the bulk of that stuff out of the way? So it takes that monkey off your back, right? And then, come on, y'all, we can do 2 or 3 years standing on this year has gone so fast. I feel like it was January 2 weeks ago, okay? And so when I tell people, you gotta tighten up your spending and play the needs versus wants game for right now. And I tell them, don't worry about your credit, because when you start paying these debts down, your credit will automatically increase. I always tell people to go to Credit Karma or one of those kind of services, not to get a credit card, but I want you to go there and see everything that you have. It's free, okay? Go there, and I know that you can print out a free one every year. That's not what I'm talking about. I want you to look at this one because it gives you ideas. Credit Karma is the one that I know and I recommend to people. It gives you ideas on what you can do to pay something faster, right? A lot of people, even people that make really good money, will have medical bills that got charged off, or, you know, they moved somewhere and didn't realize they had left a cable bill, and it's, you know, it's a $50 cable bill, but it's tanking their credit because it's showing that's charged off. Okay, if it's within 7 years, pay that stuff off. $50, come on, you can pay that off. And I mean, your credit will increase so fast. You can get your credit up 100 points in 1 month just by doing the simple things. And then I show them, there are some times where you feel like, here's the thing, most of the time, people are so used to robbing Peter to pay Paul, they don't really even know what's coming in, what's going out. Let me tell you what people do. They check their bank account and see what's left. That is not a budget. That's a spending plan. A budget says, I am planning for, I know exactly what's coming in this house, and I know exactly what is expected to go out. And sometimes you have some stuff that, especially for people that are business owners, you might have something that's been sitting on your credit for 2-3 years. Call those people and say, listen, this is what I want to do. I need to pay this off. I want to, if it's $1,000, I'll pay $500 if you'll just let me pay it in the next 4 months, right? They'd rather have some money than none, right? But we go through that process of, let me show you how to get ready to go to the next level. You cannot go to the next level with money problems or with bad credit. Credit not only affects you getting something, it affects you getting a job now. It didn't used to be that way, but employers are looking at your credit and saying, whoo, my goodness, there's no way I'm hiring this person. They owe everybody in the world. People gonna be calling our office all the time.
That is so funny, but so true. Trust me, it's so true. Ms. Jackson, can you share with any other questions that may be in the YouTube chat that we can't see here?
Yes, I have one more. It says, Ms. Stevens was speaking on always having the end in mind. Who should be included on your business team? CPA, business manager, lawyer, etc.
So, well, I'll start to answer that. Always know a good CPA. Man, they can be invaluable to you. And then an attorney that, this will sound crazy, but you need a couple of attorneys. You need one that is well-versed in business, helping you set your business up the right way. But you also need an attorney that is an estate planning attorney, right? Because you're the business owner. What happens to that business if you're no longer there? So again, build it into the beginning. Make sure that your estate planning attorney is helping you set up a plan for if you are no longer there or if you are disabled. Who will take it over? How will it continue to run? And then If you don't, and then of course a financial planner, because I'll tell you, not enough of us have do that. We don't work with a financial planner. I don't know why. And I think now, as I've been doing this for a while, I've been doing this since 2004. I really think it's just that we didn't know. We didn't know. When I tell people I'm a planner, they say, "Oh, well, I know I don't have enough money to work with you." These are people that make really good money. It's not that. It is. So those are my 3 or 4: CPA, a financial planner, a business attorney, and an estate planning attorney.
And I can't say this enough for especially business startups and those people who are thinking about starting a business. It is it's a valuable resource to have either mentoring, right? Getting with someone who has done that business or been in business and been successful. I'm not talking about your uncle who has the side business, shade tree mechanic, but actually an actual business owner. There's so many business programs, mentoring programs out there. The city of Austin, I'm excited to say, again, another plug for my office, is that we're starting a business. We just signed an MOA for a business consortium, mentoring consortium with University of Texas, with Travis County and Austin Independent School District. And what we will be doing is identifying, and they've been doing this for a couple of years, but I'm happy that we are now as a city joining in, and they will be identifying businesses, some who are going to be early stage businesses, and those other businesses that may have been in business for a while and looking to grow their business, and providing direct mentoring. There's so many people out there that have resources and knowledge that'll start you from the very first basic concept of what your business should be, isn't, and what you, even from a personal standpoint, are you prepared? I know today we have some questions coming in from Miss Alicia Friday with Minority Business Accelerator, who has been a very successful business. She has a contract with the state lotto. Who would think, to provide their paper, supplies, and goods, etc. And so getting with a small business owner, particularly in your industry, is so valuable. I know
Can I make a quick comment on that too? What you really need, and which is vitally important to your business.
Yes.
You need to have, from the start, a bookkeeper and a bookkeeping system. I think if you do not learn how to do your bookkeeping right off, you are dealing with some challenges. So please make sure you do that. And a CPA is excellent, because once they have those bookkeeping records, they can kind of keep you on track on what you're doing. But also just a finance person. You can hire you, like, we talked about earlier. I don't know if Commissioner Dimison will let y'all do this, but hire you an intern that out of the finance department, out of someplace like UT or HT or wherever, and use that person to help you with your bookkeeping and finance. And
that's important. That's important, because I'm going to do a plug for Elton Price. I've been around certification a long time, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen people, business owners, who walk in and they have a shoebox CPA. Do you know what that means? Is they literally are coming in with a shoebox, they trash bag, Ziploc bag with all their receipts in there, and they're trying to get a loan or they're trying to get certified. And that's not gonna, you're not gonna be able to do that with your receipts in your paper bag or your zip shoebox. So yeah, that's a great nugget, great nugget. Yeah. There's a wealth of information out here. Like I said, I want to go back to a couple of things that I looked on the website and make sure I touch on. Industry specific help. I know TWC has launched a program, Aaron Demerson, for daycares, childcare industry. Can you touch on that? We may have some childcare industry folks who are providing services and may need some assistance from that program. So can you touch on that?
Yeah, so this pandemic proved out that childcare is very, very, very important to our state. You found out that majority of women that the restaurant industry, were a lot of women work in the restaurant industry, only to find out that they didn't have childcare. And so that was an impact on that industry in a big, big way. The same with the Hotel Lodging Association. We've approved in between $6 to $9 billion in childcare spending, and that 6 to 9 is real, $1 billion that's out there for childcare. uses. Some of them are raising the wage rates of some of their employees. They're utilizing it to increase space in their childcare. It's just a number of different areas. It's federal money that's coming in, and we put it together. We have a childcare division here at the Workforce Commission. They've done town hall meetings. They've done all types of outreach, and I'm always encouraging them to outreach and listen to employers from that standpoint. And so I know we have limited time, but if there's anybody that has an interest in childcare or wants to know what the state's doing as it relates to childcare and the opportunities that are there, I put my email address out there, and we'll get you in touch with Reagan Miller and Allison Wilson. Those are the ones that run the childcare division, but you'll be amazed that we're like on the 9th tranche. And these are monies that keep coming in where we're actually putting innovative programs, innovative approaches to spending in that space, recognizing from that pandemic the importance of childcare. And you're finding employers right now that are getting very creative with looking at childcare facilities on site. They're also looking at partnering with childcare facilities down the street. You know, how do they leverage themselves to make sure that their employees have access to quality childcare is where we're going in that stead. So Reagan Miller, Allison Wilson running the childcare division, and I've sent plenty of people to them to have frank conversations so that you can ask the questions and get answers to any of the questions that you might have related to that.
Thank you, Aaron. We have about 5 minutes left. And so what I want to do, I know there's a lot of questions, and I'm hoping everyone will be able to get the information that's in the chat. I want to give you each, with the time we have left, 1 minute to just give a good overview and motivation to small and minority business, especially our minority-owned business out there. It's hard. And so can you give just a 1 minute nugget, 1 minute word of advice or motivation to our small business? And I'll start with you, Ms. Stevens.
Yeah. So my advice is be the change you want to see. Do not sit back and wait for somebody to give you an open road. Go and make a road. Get you a bulldozer and literally get out there and let everybody know who you are and what you do. We spend so much time on social media. You ought to be plugging yourself on social media. Everybody that you know ought to be able to say, girl, that's what you're looking for? Juanita can do that. You need to call her. Everybody that is in your realm ought to know what you do, exactly what you do, so that they can refer you, because there is no better business than referral business. Okay. So make sure that everybody knows what you do and go be really good at what is your gift. Stop focusing on the negative stuff. Stop focusing on what somebody else told you you need to make better.
Thank you, Ms. Juanita. Ms. Roan, can you give a minute or less overview?
Sure.
Or
Quickly, I'm going to tell you 2 things. One is, don't be ashamed to be selfish, and don't hate. And the first thing is, don't just be ashamed to be selfish. If you're starting your own business, do not, and I cannot stress this to you anymore than saying this out loud. If you're starting your business, and I know that we as caregivers always want to help somebody else. I hear so many businesses come in and say, I want to have social impact. So I'm gonna do my business, and then I'm gonna give so much to charity. Don't you give nothing to charity until you can take care of yourself. That's the first thing, and take care of your business. Number 2, don't hate. When you look at people up here who are telling you about business, we are happy to help. It's about generational wealth. We're trying to create that by teaching you these things and helping you learn these things. I send my son. He got a great job. The first thing I did was send my son to Juanita and say, do a financial plan. Do it now. Teach our children early so they create generational wealth. Don't hate, because we're going to help you, and just keep it moving. And that's my nugget of advice.
Thank you, Ms. Roan. Mr. Demerson?
All right, I got 30 seconds. Basically, it's amazing how this has gone this way. Stacy just mentioned that, and for the businesses, just keep plugging away. I mean, the resources are out there, so take advantage of all those resources. And then lastly, I have 2 boys. Tamala, congratulations to Kennedy. But to Stacy's point, I believe in the financial planner aspect. And so this goes back to Juanita. If you get with the financial planner early on, and Rose and I did that 20 25 years ago or what have you, it's going to work for you. And so my two boys, Nick Constable is a gentleman that went to school together. He's planning, and that's his dad used to do that. So that's what we're going to do. Get it to those individuals and promote the fact. And if you have your personal finances together, it's going to make life a lot easier on the business side. If you don't have it together, you have a resource like Juanita and others that can get out there and help you get that together if you still are interested in going into business. And so it goes back to what I started with. Take advantage of the resources that are out there. It's people that want to help and people that actually, quite honestly, will help.
Amen. And just one of the things, a question that we had in the Q&A or the chat was, how do we find resources out there like businesses that can help? Like you guys have mentioned a CPA, you guys mentioned attorneys, and one of the great resources or a directory you can find team members and people who offer services is from our African American and our other minority-owned businesses. The City of Austin, and I'll ask Elton Price to drop this in the chat, has a list of certified businesses that you can go in and enter, legal services, office supplies, catering services. And these are certified owned businesses right here in Austin that are ready, willing, and able to assist you. So to answer that question, that resource directory, a great directory of certified minority owned businesses that are out there that can help you provide a wealth of services. And so that's my golden nugget. I am going to ask the boss of this, our chair for economic development, who's also the director of economic development for the City of Austin. I am going to turn it over to her. I'm not sure if our president is here for final words in closing. It has been my pleasure of serving as a panelist and a moderator for this informative session. Ms. Holt-Rab.
Thank you, Dr. Saldana. And I ask my fabulous co-chair, Sarah Gibson, to please come on camera on behalf of our president, Robin Blackman, and the entire Austin Alumni Chapter. This has been an amazing, such rich information. I don't know how we package it all, but again, every word you all said, Juanita and Aaron and Stacy and Tom, on point. Listen, take notes. There are resources out there. Pay yourself. Get your spending together. This has been, again, amazing. And so I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll ask Sarah Gibson to close us out.
Well, I just want to say thank you as well. Aaron, Juanita, Stacy, we couldn't have done this without you. Such valuable information. We appreciate you. We appreciate the public who signed in to get this valuable information. And we may be coming to you again to join us for future webinars. But thank you, everyone. The recordings will be available for those who want to send it on to friends and family. We can get that to you to share this valuable information. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great evening. Good night.
Good.
Thank you, panelists.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you.
That
Hopefully
was
it's not recorded. Hopefully we're still recording. Please close the recording.
And you can stop the live stream.